Hello creators, I'm Creature, and today we're reviewing the 6 Feet Under. This is an event schematic from the Halloween set, and can be gotten during any time of the year really, because it does return in the weekly shop. It isn't tied to a specific date like the other Halloween weapons. And of course, since it is of course a Halloween weapon, it can be found in the corresponding slots of the, Halloween collection book slot. Do I really need to explain this? Let's just be serious. I think it's just obvious. Like, look at it. It's a spooky shovel. You're digging graves with this. Honestly, I think it should be called the Grave Digger, not the 6 Feet Under, because why would the assault rifle be called a grave digger even though we have a shovel that's meant for grave digging? It doesn't make sense. It really doesn't. Anyways, here's the perks I'll be running with it. Just a simple melee build of, double attack speed, double damage. You can change the element to anything, though person speaking, since energy is the most commonly used element, we'll be using that for today's review. And you can't have affliction with this. Now, if you do want to max out the damage for it, there really is an option for that, at least for the 6 perk. You can have it so hitting an enemy makes you a little faster. You can have it so it grants you armor, which can be good for staying alive a little longer in crowds. Or you can use this impact and knockback magnitude, which usually isn't something you want to go and do because increased knockback, it keeps the enemies away from you. But if you're trying to kill the enemies, you want them near you. So it's kind of a give or take if you want that. But if you're going to be knocking back enemies, I suggest you use the pulverizer. This is a expansion schematic, so it can be found in any mission, llama, such on, such forth. We're not reviewing this. Plus, I'm in my collection book. I don't even have the schematic of this because that's how rarely ever I have it. But this melee is really good for knocking around enemies from my own experience. But a good shotgun for knocking around enemies is actually the hydraulic shotgun, the pummeler. The channel, Rosen actually introduced me to this gun. It actually works really well for endurances if you just need a quick ranged pushback, which, pretty good. But that's not what we're talking about today. Today we're talking about, of course, Shovel McSmashy Face. The only good weapon for that job, because of course, it's a shovel. Alright, and here's the build we'll be using. I think I should probably bring this up before we get into the game, but just a simple Guardian Ball, Blast of the Past. It's simple. This is more for hardwares. Now, but professionally, or proficiently speaking, whatever you want to say, honestly, you should probably be using, how do I full screen you? Inspect, here we go. You should probably be using Paleoluna. She's great for melees, like any melee, because the more melee attack swings you have, the more she does. It's not how that exactly directly works, but it's the easiest way to explain it in a short time. But if I wanted this the most optimal way possible, I would be running with this, but I kind of want to get more with the crit. So I kind of want to gamble, But yeah. Anyways, let's get in game and let's just test it out. I think this will be a fun one, Alrighty, we are in game now. I've already recorded this video. I'm now just kind of re-recording it because I looked back at the footage and it wasn't that enjoyable to watch, personally speaking. Well, not personally speaking. It was I was cutting away too much and I was kind of quiet. So I've adjusted some settings. It's a little quieter in game, and I'm talking a little louder. It is late, of course, and I am live on Twitch right now. Link in description. But yeah, I'm aware that my little break has sort of made me less, I guess, videogenic. I guess you can word it, like photogenic, but with video. But yeah, let's see if we can find some enemies. Now, we just loaded in, so there should be some enemies. So here we go. We have a survivor. A good example. It'll summon a couple husks that I can beat them up with shovel. Good silly fun. We love beating the dead with shovels. Now, as you can see right now, it isn't the best. Now, when it comes to hardwares, I think there's some obvious picks. There's the let me see. There's the Husk Stomper, and if you're a little silly and like a good silly haha, there's the Doom Hammer. Not the best hammer, but it's kind of iconic hardware wise. And then there's the Husk Warper. There's a lot better options. But the 6 Feet Under, I almost said the Grave Digger, but the 6 Feet Under is a good option. More for crowds, I say. Because if you just go into a crowd while singing this thing, they're going to die a lot quicker. You're going to get a speed boost. And, you know, the crowd's going to be gone. But the second there's anything with real, like, beat to it, meat to it, you know, like a husky husk, masher, it's really going to stutter and fall a bit. But if you just have something that's thin and tiny to kill, it does fine. Now, usually when I do reviews, I don't like to spill the beans this early on. But I do think it's important to say that. And plus, there's going to be a second part to this review, actually. I kind of want to show it off with the movement speed perks. Because this can have double movement speed perks, which more or less turns you into a lawnmower. Which I find really funny. Now, there's, of course, the steampunk scythe and the black metal axe that actually, you know, are like lawnmowers. You hold down the special attack button and you just kind of spin. But this one doesn't take away energy to use, so I do see that as a little bit of a benefit. Now, the only issue with running it that way is, of course, we will lose our damage perks in replacement of course, movement speed. But if we just, you know, go into a crowd like this with 160 enemies, which, of course, we'll be testing with 245s later. But as you see, it took him pretty well, one-tapping most of the small enemies. Now, I do believe that kind of carries over to 245s. It is a very consistent weapon, so that is one benefit. That's what you're looking for, to something consistent, which this is. This is actually very consistent. Now, of course, we're not running this with a build that requires us to get, like, coconuts or wafers. So, of course, there won't be, like, oh, I'll see you back for a wafer test. That isn't going to be happening. I might do that on the second part of this review, where we will do the more silly, not suggested use of it. Which, well, silly, yes, but it can work. That's how I originally used this, which, you know, isn't suggested by all technicality. But it works. It really does. But yeah, if we just go in here with our shovel and kind of just, you know, swing to kill, they're going to die. And we have, I want to say, roughly almost 2 million health, so we're kind of doing fine. Especially with, what's her name? The Frankenstein lady from the One Halloween quest line. Her. You know, when we hit an enemy with our shovel, we'll get some health back. Not much health, but with crowds, it kind of does get more rewarding with that. So we kind of do have our health covered, but if you're going to run this like normally, I suggest doing a completely different build. I'll pop it up on screen, because I'm running it more on how I want to see it function, more than like how it optimally would function. Like, I want to show it with its, like, intended class, per se, because hardware is more or less a constructor-themed tool of destruction, so that we can get a swing on any of those enemies. But, yeah. As I'll cut back if we can get a more thorough test with more crowds, and maybe a smasher if we find a more a beefy one. I almost said beady again, gosh. Gosh, I cannot word today, oh my god. Anyways, right behind me is a crowd. I know, what a nice little way to... I don't even know what I'm trying to do here. But let's just go mow down the crowd, shall we? Nice little way to tease, I guess, what's behind me. I don't know. It's corny. It's corny, it's silly, it's what I do here. What can I say? But, yeah, as you see, we can really zoom when we're not being stomped by slow bubbles or puddles, or what I call them. But yeah, when you get the kills in, you kind of just do zoom around. But of course, I'm being hit and I'm being slowed down. But as you can see, it kills. It kills fast. So if you're looking just for something that's, you know, returns often, is a little unique, and has a very different playstyle, it can work. It's just, we're gonna have to see it for the actual in-game. Like, well, not in-game, but for the objective analysis. Because the objective does make the difference sometimes. Because with normal play against, you know, 160s or 140s, you know, a weapon can do fine. But the second it turns like to 245, not 250, which I still think that's such a stupid little difference. Like, can we just have the extra 5 back? Can we make the Husk at least a little more beefy and more like a challenge? I think I'm like the only one asking for extra challenge at this point. Because yeah. And I've completely side-railed the conversation. I forgot what I was really talking about. Great! But point being, yeah, just this, we have to wait for the final analysis and, you know, the objective and all that stuff to really come with an opinion. But, yeah. You know, I need to really stop, like, sidetracking myself with conversations. It is really becoming a problem with my content. Well, I just fell into a massive pit by mistake. Let's just go in before they blow themselves all up. And they've blown themselves all up. But as you see, against, like, a bigger Husk, it's going to take around 3 to 4 hits to kill. And, of course, once they become 245, they're going to take way more. I think if I remember correctly from my previous recordings of this, it took about, I want to say, like, 8 swings. And now, again, in the objectives, they're swarming. They're not going to be, like, you know, standing out by themselves or something. In the objectives, they're compact. They're in crowds. So even though you're swinging at one, there's going to be 8 more swinging at you, which can really break or make weapons. So, yeah. Do keep that in mind. But as you can see, if there's like a nurse, it's also going to keep them alive way longer. Like, the weapon is great for like the litter, the litter. for the littler husks. Wow, I cannot say that. But it's good for like small crowds and like weaker husks. But the second you get something beefy or a nurse, it really does kind of choke out a bit, which is fine. If you're like going crazy or something and you run 2, or in my case, 3 hardwares. You know, we got the Storm King's Fist, the shovel, and then the Baron for movement. You know, if you're running this for some reason, you can probably go with this to sweep out like a large crowd, then switch to this to pick out like smashers or something. Like that could work. Do I suggest it? No. You should probably have like a bazooka or a shotgun or something that's good for taking out singular enemies. But if you would truly want to, you know, dedicate yourself to a build, you can do that. Did that just despawn when I was going to go test on it? No. Yeah, over here we have... Okay, where are you going? Turn around. Come on! Alright, there we go. As you see, it gets like a nurse. It's going to take a couple extra hits, and then it gets a, you know, husky husks, fat buys. You know, it is going just to take a while to clear them out. And these are 245s, funny enough, so we are kind of seeing what I mean about the extra hits it takes. But as you can see, it does really take a lot more to kill them when they're a bit higher level. The sweet spot is really 160, so that is something to think about when you're selecting a weapon for, you know, primary use, which is why I make these videos. You know, to see if that's worth primary use or not, and usually the answer is yeah, because I swear, people over... What's the word? It's on the tip of my tongue. But essentially, they overreact about it. Like, oh, this weapon is like a percent, like, well, like a null percentage weaker. Don't use, not meta. I don't know. You see, before I started my YouTube, I've already been testing weapons. It's just I started to record my tests instead of just doing it with friends and like trying to understand the weapon. Yeah, the content really started because I just wanted it to turn it into something instead of just me talking to myself like a psychopath. But yeah, I'll see you at the objective for hopefully a good test. Alright, once again, another heads up for Mission Defense Design 101. Like, this is pretty beginner stuff. When building an objective in a nature zone, never use metal unless it's like on the outside portions of a defense. For the main like portion of the defense, like the centermost area, you should use the corresponding element, or not element, well, yeah, actually, yeah, use the corresponding element on your weapon, but then also use the corresponding build material. For water husks and fire husks, you should be using metal, obviously. And then for nature husks, you actually have to switch it to brick. Wood is never something you should primarily use for anything, honestly. But yeah, for nature missions, don't use metal. Please don't. You're essentially just giving them a big open door to your defense, essentially. Alrighty, so the defense has started, and we do have a smash right in front of us. It's already missing half its health, and I have no clue if I did any damage towards that. Holy yikes-a-roni. Ugh. Okay, my game is lagging. Holy crap. Oh, drop traps. Oh boy, ooh. That is stinky. That is stinky. Alright, we have a bit of a smasher right here we can test on. Ah, they're charging up the plasma balls. Or whatever they call that. I forgot. I've honestly forgotten some of the weapon names. It's been that long. I've been playing too much TF2. What can I say? But, like I said earlier, as you can see, this is most definitely not a smasher weapon or a high-end weapon. This is just kind of good for small crowds, like I said. Honestly, it does kind of remove the fun when I already know what to expect out of a weapon. That's why I try to go in blind as I can, but like I said, this is a re-recording because the original footage was just such a mess. But as you can see, it's not the best. Now against normal enemies, still it's doing fine. But the second the target has a little pudge on it, it's not going. It is not going. And if you're seeing the frame drop be like 15 frames a second, that's not you. That's my game. I'm on a modern Xbox, and it is coming to a crawl. Holy. But I'll see you at the mini-boss, because we don't need to see the mini-boss. We already know it's not going to do good, but I'll see you then. But, Alright, the boss is right in front of us, and it was charging. But as you can see, yeah, no, this is not it. This is not at all. In fact, best suggestion I can make if you're going for hardwares or mini-boss killers, if you want a hardware for it, just pull out, good old mythic hammer, I forgot its name, honestly. And then there's the 3 mini-boss weapons, the Storm King's Ravager, the Husk Stomper, and then the Pot Shot. Those are really good for mini-bosses. I mention them every single video. They're so good. And I just pulled a massive stupid. I just put down metal. My brain is so panicked when I see an opening. It just auto cracks, honestly. But but as you can see, the shovel. Let's go back to the shovel. The shovel is not it. The shovel, the 6 feet under. It is not it. Oh no. Actually, here let's put up a distraction so we don't get any enemies down here. But yeah. Also, something I want to commentate on, as usual, when I see it. Broadsides are best used when they have a wall bounced against, and 1 to 2, not 1 to 2, but 1 to 3 tiles. I could probably come up with a diorama to pop up on screen. Probably be made afterwards, but yeah. I hate smashers. But yeah. I don't think I need to show more of this weapon against the mini-boss, because, like I said, it is not it. Alrighty, so instead of showing you what it's like to use this weapon with double movement speed, double attack speed, I'm just going to explain it, because it's honestly not worth showing. So, essentially, you move faster, and then you kill enemies to move faster, but then you're doing less damage, so you're not killing as quickly, but you can flee quicker, but you're more than likely going to die before you can flee. So then you end up dead and not experiencing the weapon as much. And I have just explained what it's like to use these perks with the shovel in an actual game. Like I said earlier in the video, this is how I usually run it, which is why the perks are actually back to being like that. Because I actually have 3 copies of the shovel. I didn't know that, but I do. I might make one for each element, I'll be honest, because I like the shovel. I think it's a funny looking weapon. But yeah, that's the easiest way to explain the weapon. So, do I recommend it? Yeah, no kind of situation. It's good for pre-mission, where you're kind of just running around, saving survivors, resourcing, all that stuff. It's good for kind of just wiping out the enemies real quick, because it is very much a lawnmower. But in actual, mission use case, it really just nosedives. It's really unusable in that sense, so that's why I don't really recommend it. But if you're doing a you're always doing pre-match, or pre-mission, but you're always, during that period, it's fine. Okay? It's not really good outside of that, so yeah. Anyways, I hope to see you all next time, and I hope you enjoyed. Goodbye.